Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mitch Raymond. I'm the Vice President for Canadian Manufacturer and Exporters, and thank you for joining us for this session about our new IOE Operational Excellence Training, and will be our second intake. Today's session will help you understand what the program is, how it works, and how it can help your organization build real operational excellence capabilities using Toyota Production System principles. We are also recording the session so that future participants benefit from it.
Yeah, so as you can see on the screen here, these are the modules we've created for this training, this round of training. The titles you see here are kind of general, but there's a deep dive into each of the things you see there in the program, and especially in the weeks leading up to the program, a lot of sharing of not only of video material but also of materials that Peter and I have curated to help make you understand these topics in more depth. Peter, do you want to touch on any of those in particular right now?
The case for improvement is trying to set the scene to understand as to, well, why do you actually need to improve? What's actually driving you to attend this course, but also within your organization, what's actually driving the organization to improve? So, when participants look at their team, is there a desire within the organization to get better and better and better? Okay, or
Hmm.
is there a disconnect between the need for change, but maybe how people behave and the way in which they go about their work? Okay, so that sort of captures that case for improvement. The Kaizen mindset, I guess, is looking at a little bit more detail as to what's happening in your organization. Okay. Are your managers spending time putting out fires, or are they leading and coaching teams and the participants themselves, I guess, prevent those fires from starting in the first place from a prevention point of view of understanding the problems and how do we resolve them so they don't come back. Naturally, lean thinking, yeah. If a customer walked through a participant's organization, if they saw all the activities these happening, okay, what percentage of activities would they see that would be delivering true value to them as a customer? Or do they see things going on that, hang on, am I paying for that? It raises that question. Yep, just in time and Kanban is about looking at flow through the organization. Is the production floor highway of moving value, or is it a parking lot for stagnant work in progress sitting there that just creates waste within the process and destroys your productivity and destroys lead time and things like that? 5S and visual management, yep, I guess more definitive tools around how to create the environment where people are applying standards not only to the product quality, but also the environment that they work in to drive productivity. If that same customer walked into the organization, would the participant be delighted to show them around at all the great work that they're doing to try and improve the product that they're buying? Potentially, could that same customer understand within a very short space of time whether you're meeting the schedule or not meeting the schedule, or meeting quality standards or not meeting quality standards? So that's the visual element as to how we understand how our processes are actually functioning. Standard work and continuous improvement. Naturally, standard work, first place to begin continuous improvement activities. If the participants have multiple people doing the same process multiple different ways, what is the standard? Where's the starting point? And if you don't have that right starting point, it's like, well, how do you have certainty around safety and quality and delivery and cost? You simply don't. And the last module is about leading change and some practical actions that participants as leaders can actually begin to put into place when they look at their organization. When a process fails, are they settled for a temporary fix to get through the shift and forget about it, or do they have the discipline to go back and actually really focus on leading improvement and showing their behavior in terms of a leader, participating in that and coaching their team? So that a little bit of a snapshot of each of those elements that go through. But as I mentioned before, we're not sort of leaving leadership right to the end. There will be elements of leadership that we bring into the program through each one, but it's just hard to layer those. Okay, but that's the challenge that we have to deliver that to the participants.
Perfect. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to say, Peter, and thank you for sharing the updates. I think what's important there is, what I got out of it is you even mentioned safety. You mentioned some other things, and I think participants, if you look at this, a program like this, it's about improving quality, improving, for example, you can apply it to health and safety, you can apply it to business processes such as marketing, you can apply it to HR, you can apply it to finance. So I think the
Yes.
critical thing there is when we look at the program, and that's the thing about operational excellence. It's not just a quality thing, it's the quality of the business, and how we can do those. So really, thank you for sharing those. The other thing too is, and I like what you just said, when you look at the modules here, is leadership and culture. And, we look at module 7 as being kind of that, at the end. But with this program, for example, is there is going to be leadership that Peter mentioned all throughout it. And what happens is we build, concepts in each module about the leadership and challenges and how we overcome those and how we work together. And then ultimately what happens is, and it was a deliberate thing, is module 7 is about everything in the previous 6 modules coming together to say, this is exactly what we talked over the past few months. So when you look at this one here is ultimately participants will be able to apply those concepts and what they've learned into saying, from a leadership perspective, this is what we need to do, and here's how we're going to do it. So I think in
Mhm.
terms of flow, it just made sense.
I agree too, Mitch. And I think the conversation, I think there's going to be a lot of powerful conversations along the way. But the last part about leadership and all of those elements that we've discussed through the previous 6 modules will come together in that session, and hopefully after. I'm going to open myself up to be able to be contactable for people if they want to touch on any points or anything after, just so they can follow up if there's something that they need more help with. We have access to a lot of different resources that can help people and things that we won't have time to deliver in the training itself. I don't want to speak for Peter, but he's got access to a lot of resources that are very, very helpful as well. So I think through this training, we can do things that go on after the training as well to help people as they continue to move forward. Because sometimes, as it can be a lonely road, when you're trying to impact change and not everybody around you is on the same train kind of thing. So yeah, we hope to create that connection too. And of course, as we mentioned before, creating connections in the region between people who can, reach out to each other. You may be only 20, 30 kilometers down the road, but you can definitely help each other with, issues as they arise in your organization. So that's one of the things we hope to get out of this as well.
To add to that, Dave, yeah, I'm also happy to be contact beyond the actual module sessions
Hmm.
because yeah, we as I say, we can't cover everything. The participants will have unique challenges that they may discover
Hmm.
after the sessions are finished, and it's like, well, we don't want to leave them high and dry. We still want them to have an
No.
avenue, potentially to come to us, or as Dave says, within the group, being able to connect with others within the group as well and learn from each
Hmm.
other, learn from us, learn from each other.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
both for that. That's in a nutshell where the success will lie with the program. Okay, so guys, just a few questions, just for
Sure.
some of the questions that some of the participants may have. Who is this program really designed for, and who would benefit the most?
I think as Peter mentioned earlier, I know anybody could definitely benefit from it, but I think having people who are in a position to make impact in their organization right away, like the day after the training. Mid-level managers and above are definitely people who can, impact things more quickly, and also some of the higher level stuff that we're going to get into is not for a total someone who's totally new to improvement mindset. Probably beneficial to have people with a little bit of a background in what improvement is. Peter, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would, and certainly agree with your comment about who it's, I guess, more directly related to. But sometimes people need a bit of a refresher. Sometimes people have
Yes.
been going down a particular pathway in their learning within their organization, and they've met lots and lots of challenges, and it's like, well, okay, maybe I need to have a bit of a reset. Is there something available that can help me just reset where I am? And learn some more stuff and some different techniques and different ways of applying it. So, sure, a core group of people that are the same for, but yeah, basically open to anybody that has a really strong desire to learn and improve.
No, thank you. And I like how you mentioned reset because sometimes participants may, and that's the great thing about these kind of programs and initiatives is maybe it's just a matter of a refresher, because, there could be an opportunity to, jump back in on the continuous improvement journey. So that's important.
Yeah.
One thing, and I'll guarantee you out of this one here is participants will want to know is, will this add more to my workload? So will participants actually apply improvements during the training?
Sure, there is an element of time to put aside for the actual training modules, but there is an element of time that participants will need to put away or to find within their resource to follow up or a homework activity from the previous module and preparation for the next module. So yes, there will be time that they will need to allocate to this. So we know the challenge sometimes that brings to people, but
Hmm.
it's like, how much time do I spend doing the work and how much time do I spend improving the work? So we're estimating that that
Yeah.
time might be 1 to 2 hours for each module. Okay. As
Yeah.
far as the actual improvements that we will want people to do, yeah, within that 1 to 2 hours, we want people to make some change within their organization. Not radical change, but small change to cement the learning from the previous module, but also to be able to learn and understand enough to bring to the next module so that they get a deeper learning out of that module.
Yeah, and some of that may also just be fact finding within their organization. Discovering what exactly is going on is one of the things that's important. It's not about people just going out and doing improvements on the floor in the factory in between the modules. It's about finding out more detail about something that is an issue and things like that, and coaching people towards doing that. So it'll take time because it takes a little bit of time to get better, but it's not an overwhelming amount of time for sure.
No, thanks a lot. And quite honestly, one of the other things, question wise, and I want to put this out here, and there's so many different opportunities when it comes to improvements. But what would the kind of results an organization or a participant would see by participating in a program such as this? So I know that's a loaded question, and I'm thinking it just depends, right? So where do you guys see the outcomes? Realistically for participants.
I think this is quite a challenging thing for organizations, not necessarily a challenging thing for participants, but it's challenging for organizations that they're investing in this course. What are they going to get out of it? It won't impact the bottom line during this course. Okay, fundamentally it won't, because that takes time to do that. But I think what participants will begin to see is changes in their behavior, changes in their understanding of actually what's happening within the process, wherever it be, but also beginning to see the change within their teams as well as to how they behave, how they react to different things, and also from the successes that they will actually have will create a stronger desire and engagement within their team.
Yeah, exactly. Just to build on that a little bit, also, like Peter, you mentioned it, change in behaviors, preceding that, the change in mindset, maybe not a change, like not a, not an earth-shattering change as such, but also sometimes a boost to, a lot of people know the basic concepts of what it takes to improve, but life gets busy and, things happen around us, and there's a lot of things that are out of control sometimes. How to be able to focus on the things you can control, because that's not everything, so to focus on the things you can control and then to manifest the behaviors that help move the needle a little bit, make that better, improve that point. It all adds up in the end, and I think organizations will see a change over time. But changing mindset leads to changed behavior. So I think that's the impact that people will see right away.
I'm hoping that participants will learn how to forget they used to do things.
Yes,
Because
yes.
this is a different way of thinking. As Dave says, it's a change in mindset, but it's a different way of thinking. So the traditional way of thinking and doing stuff, we want them to forget that. Okay, maybe take the good bits out of it, but learn some new stuff and apply that instead of reverting back to, oh, we used to do this type of thing. It's like, no, no, no. Let's look at how we should do this. What are the principles? How do I need to apply them in this situation?
Absolutely awesome points, Peter and Dave. Like I was just listening to both of you as you were talking about this, and ultimately what it comes down to is we're looking at leaders that are going to tap into other leaders, and
Yeah.
actually the sharing of best practices. I mean, the ultimate outcome is building your network with others. Who can you tap on the shoulder when you need, hey, how did
Hmm.
you do this? And really kind of breaking down to me the barriers that sometimes we set up for ourselves by having a very narrow vision and not thinking differently.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think those kind of things, quite honestly, and it's always, everybody gets something different out of this. I mean, for the participants that are considering this, is you get what you put into it. And I mean, this is always a thing with the organizations and sometimes taking these sessions is we, as a program and with Dave and Peter and Alex here is supporting this is we're here to help you along that journey. We can do as much as we can if you need supports. That's what we're here for. But quite honestly, the pre-homework and actually being present and being engaged in the sessions will only get you more outcomes than that you probably can expect. So, it's a short period of time commitment for those considering this. And quite honestly, when you look at it, maximize the time. So when you're in the sessions, please contribute, do the group work, engage with it because it'll just result with more outcomes. So just wrapping up everything that you guys literally just said. Um, so one thing with this, how much time would you expect a participant with a program like this to be looking in terms of actual class time and actual pre-homework assignments and readings and stuff like that?
It potentially it will vary between the different modules, and it may vary depending on how, I guess, mature or how much information is available to the participant from within their organization, as Dave talked
Yes.
earlier about finding information and things like that. But essentially, the modules are about 90 minutes long. So that's one body of work. Post and pre, probably between 1 to 2 hours, but we don't want it to be exhaustive for the participants. Okay, we want them to come out of a module and know what they need to do, potentially where they should find that or discover it or observe it within their organizations and get on and do it. And then take the next module in terms of preparation in that same thinking. What do I need to find
Hmm.
out? What do I need to bring? And if there are some elements that they can't bring to the next meeting, that's absolutely fine. We will help them work through that. But
Yep.
commitment, yep, modules, but also commitment outside that as well.
Yep. But maybe not major, like you say, Peter, maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours between
Yep, somewhere
sessions, I
around there.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that over each module once again as being, every 3, 4 weeks,
Correct.
quite
Correct. Yeah.
honestly, it's not a weekly commitment. If you spread that over between the next session, really it's totally doable, with many just,
Yep.
putting the time into it. So
Hmm.
thanks. No, that's great to know. And really a final question would be, if we look at the different participants that could be considering a program like this,
Hmm.
is it, are we looking at a program that this fits more for kind of the early adopters of continuous improvement? Or, for example, if there's organizations that are already on the journey of continuous improvement, where do you think a program fits in for the best participant to get outcomes with a program like this?
I personally don't think it matters too much for somebody who has no real experience in lean thinking or Kaizen, or an early adopter type thing, I think it will just bring things together to help them understand, oh, these are the steps that I need to take. These are the things that I need to learn and apply. But equally, for an organization that's relatively mature, that still has challenges, I think it will, as I mentioned before, bring them back to a bit of a reset. It's like, oh yeah, right. This is what I need to do. And through that process, they will discover, oh, maybe that's why this segment that we did previously didn't quite work because we missed this point or we overlooked this element and things like that. So I think it's a little bit of a mix, um, as to
Yeah.
where you are on your journey.
Yeah, I think reset again is an important point, but also verification. Sometimes there's a lot of people out there that are on the right path, but they need to know that they're on the right path because it's not always easy to see results, especially when you're in a larger organization. You're doing impactful things every day, but they're not showing up in specific KPIs, but you're moving in the right direction. So to know that, okay, the mindset I have is what we need to do this, and we'll just keep pushing through. There are some people that need to maybe alter their course a little bit, but to be honest, Mitch, I think anybody who's thinking about getting better, even if they are a new adopter, or even if there's somebody who's very mature in their program, they've been doing it for years, there is a lot of impact to be had for everyone across the board.
Absolutely. No, and I'll be quite honest with something like this here, and I think for participants to consider saying, well, I've already had this training in that training, and we consider ourselves at this evolution of the journey of continuous improvement is you're both right. To me, there's always learning outcomes that you can have when you engage with other professionals and experts like
Yeah.
yourself. I mean, I'll even put it to this point here is sometimes by having, for example, both of you, being in Japan and Peter, you being in New Zealand and working a different part of the world, sometimes, we have our own filters, that we may see
Yes.
things,
Very true.
only from an Atlantic Canada approach or a Canadian approach. And let's be realistic, when you look at continuous improvement in Toyota production systems, TPS started on the other side of the world where you guys are at. So I think what's critical on having sessions with individuals like you as instructors is we're bringing in maybe some concepts even for some very advanced individuals to learn something different, from individuals seeing really with your travels and where you work around the world is there could be things that we're missing here. And I think the more we get together and kind of compare notes, I think only you can improve,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the power of it, right?
Yeah, that comparing of notes is big, is very big for sure, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not
And
something that happens like, over a coffee at Tim Hortons or, something like that. Maybe it should more, but get a group of people, like-minded professionals like this in a group, in a forum such as this training, and things like that will come out of it, conversations that, the basis for them is there, but there's no trigger to have those conversations. So, a training like this can really trigger some really good conversations between people who are close enough reasonably to impact each other and make the area better. As we all know, Mitch, it's about making Eastern Canada, Atlantic Canada, better at producing. And there are lots of great lessons to be learned from New Zealand companies here in Japan, companies that we've dealt with in different countries, and of course, companies down the road from where you are right now. So that'll be a theme that's running in the background the whole time. Peter?
yeah, I just want to come back to your question about the starting point for people joining this. I think we all need to remember that Toyota is still learning. And how long
Hmm.
have they been doing this?
Yeah,
So they're not looking at a starting point. They're looking at continuous learning, continuous improvement. How do they develop their processes and develop their people? They're looking at different ways of doing that all the time. So
yeah,
starting point is wherever you want to begin.
One point.
yeah.
No, once again, I think with this one here, we're excited, to launch the second iteration of the program. And I mean, once again, Dave, Peter, we thank you. We're excited actually for this to
Oh,
kick
yeah.
off in the next, I think the next month. And we'll
That's right. Yeah.
You know, it's hard to believe. 2026, we're here and we're ready to go.
Yeah,
Yep,
hit the
that's
ground
right.
running.